He prayed with all his might. The answer was silence. Night after night, he waited for a sign, a whisper, anything. But there was nothing. It felt like his prayers were just falling into an empty void, echoing back with a deafening quiet. He grew hungry, then disappointed. And finally, he felt utterly abandoned. If you're really there, just answer me. He'd whisper into the darkness, his voice trembling with a mix of hope and despair. He was just a young man, full of dreams, standing at a crossroads. It was in love deeply and completely. He prayed for her, for them to be together, to build a life. He begged God to make it happen, to bless their union. Every single day, he pleaded for this one thing. But the silence continued. It felt like a direct rejection, a clear sign that God didn't care about his deepest desires, his heart's only wish. The pain of this silence was almost worse than a direct no. It made him question everything he believed in. Why would a loving God ignore a prayer that felt so pure, so right? His faith started to crumble, piece by piece, under the weight of that unanswered prayer. He felt lost, adrift in a sea of confusion and hurt. Then she left. His world shattered. The silence from heaven suddenly felt like a cruel joke. He had prayed for a future with her, and now there was no future. The silence wasn't just an absence of an answer. It was the soundtrack to his heartbreak. He felt a profound sense of betrayal, not just by her, but by the God he had put his trust in. "Why?" he screamed into his pillow. "Why'd you let this happen? I begged you." He saw other people getting what they prayed for: successful careers, happy families, good health, and his one simple, heartfelt prayer ignored. He concluded that either God didn't exist, or he simply didn't care about him. For a long time, that was the story he told himself. Years passed. The sharp edges of his heartbreak began to soften. He started to heal, to rebuild his life from the rubble. He found a new path, a new purpose, and eventually, a new love. Love that was calm, steady, and built on mutual respect and genuine partnership. He was happy, truly happy, in a way he never imagined possible back then. One day, he ran into an old friend who knew the woman he had once prayed so desperately for. Out of curiosity, he asked how she was doing. The story he heard sent a chill down his spine. Her life had taken a dark turn, filled with choices that led to chaos and pain, not just for her, but for those around her. It was a life he couldn't have imagined being a part of, a life that would have undoubtedly destroyed him and all his dreams. In that single moment, everything clicked into place. The years of silence from God suddenly made perfect sense. He looked back at the young man he used to be, so certain he knew what was best for him, begging for a future that would have led to his ruin. And he realized God wasn't silent because he was absent or uncaring. He was silent because the answer was no. But it was a protective no, a no that saved him. The silence wasn't a punishment. It was a shield. It wasn't rejection. It was redirection. God's silence was an act of profound love, protecting him from a future he couldn't see, saving him from a heartache far greater than the one he endured. Sometimes, the greatest blessings in our lives are the unanswered prayers. Sometimes, when God seems silent, he is actually performing his greatest act of protection. He sees the whole picture when we can only see a tiny piece. His silence isn't a void. It's a space where he is working, protecting, and guiding us towards something far better than we could ever ask for. Trust in his timing. Trust in his silence. It might just be the very thing that saves you. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content.